It's such a widely held belief that I'm sure you've heard it a few hundred times. The key to a successful marriage, whatever that means, is good communication. But what if I told you there's a big misunderstanding there, and that focusing too much on communicating better as a relationship could actually end up prolonging the frustration between you rather than solving it? I'm Jennell Elias. I'm clinically trained in marriage and family therapy, and I focus on helping couples with high-demand lives avoid feeling like distant roommates, restore or increase intimacy, and build growth that actually lasts. This cultural obsession with just learning how to communicate better as the holy grail of fixing relationship problems started out around the 60s, when psychologists started taking a closer, more systemic look at relationships and families. Since then, a boom of data, information, and education has echoed that we're not communicating effectively with each other, which is true for the most part. The misunderstanding lies in taking that observation and then leaping into the assumption that, therefore, most if not all relationship problems can be fixed if we just learn how to communicate better with each other. If you take two people that hate each other and teach them communication skills, you will have two people that are really, really good at communicating just how much they hate each other. Falling for this idea that better communication solves everything, I've lost count how many people that I've worked with tell themselves something to the effect of, if I can just communicate better, they'll finally understand how they're hurting me and it'll get them to stop. This simply isn't true. Even if you've used, let's say, really ineffective ways of expressing yourself until now, if you have been trying to get across to your romantic partner that something they're doing is negatively affecting you, and after constantly repeated attempts, nothing has changed at all, then communication isn't the issue here. They just don't feel like changing anything. Yes, good communication is important, and few of us do it well. Even outside of relationships, we as human beings are constantly getting lost in translation between what we mean to say and what others interpret as our meaning once it passes through their filters of personal biases and experiences. However, communication is nothing more than one tool among others for uncovering what's really at the root of the conflicts and the issues that we experience in our daily lives together. If we stop at simply learning how to talk to each other more effectively, then we're robbing ourselves of the true transformational power that does improve our relationships and helps us feel happier and more satisfied with the life we've built together. I was working with a couple who had learned better communication long ago and had been slowly working on their marriage little by little over the years. They were going over one of the issues between them that just seemed to keep coming up over and over again for them. The husband in particular said, "I just don't understand. We keep talking about this and we'll come up with things that we'll do moving forward to improve things. Yet this issue keeps coming up like it's still a problem. Why are we seeing such slow progress to the point that it's been years and still an ongoing complaint?" Frankly, I could not have said it better myself in that moment. So many of us feel so frustrated that we keep having the same arguments or requesting a fix to the same problems over and over again, never feeling like it finally just gets better. Or if it does, progress is so painstakingly slow that it doesn't ever feel like significant improvement. Part of the reason is because we tend to get so caught up in talking about the issues, figuring out how to communicate them better so we can finally be understood and they'll finally do what we're asking. Or even worse, just focusing on winning the argument and not being the one at fault. That we drop the ball when it comes to two main factors that actually contribute to real, lasting progress. We either don't reach the core of the problem, what's really causing things deep down, or we're not effective in coming up with and following through with the actions that address that core root cause, so they stop being a continual pain point. Neither of those two things are really about communication. So if focusing on communication skills is not this grand fix to all of our problems, what can we do instead? We can shift the focus from figuring out how to get through to our partners to learning how to meet each other's needs. One way to do that is to start having recurring meetings where we just ask each other with an open mind and zero judgment, do you feel like your needs are being met? If not, what do you need? Then brainstorming together ways we can make that happen that we can both be okay with. Sure, we might need to improve our communication skills in order to be more effective at having those conversations around our needs and what changes need to be made in order for us to be happy. I already said earlier that we can all benefit from learning to communicate better. But by switching the focus from communicating better for better communication's sake to doing whatever we need to do to make sure we're both feeling satisfied and like our needs are mutually being met here, then learning to communicate better really does become just another tool in the tool belt for making that happen, rather than the one and only hope for solving all of our complex relationship issues. These recurring meetings are not the only way that focusing on meeting each other's needs plays out, by the way. That's a very important one, but also by starting with the mindset of focusing on needs, we start to develop kind of an eye for opportunities to meet each other's needs. We notice things around us that our partner would probably appreciate based on our recent conversations, and just take the initiative to maybe surprise them with that thing. You might have seen or heard jokes online about how women find it so attractive when men get in the kitchen and start doing the dishes. I saw a skit just the other day where a husband was acting all seductive while vacuuming the carpet or doing the laundry. The kernel of truth behind those jokes is that when a woman, but really anyone, starts to feel like their needs are being met, in this case, getting more help around the house, but really it can be about anything, we start to feel more attraction and even romantic feelings towards the person meeting those needs. It's why so many couples start out going to couples therapy due to complaints like not having enough physical intimacy, then find that there are other root issues getting in the way of that intimacy. And once those get cleared up, the attraction and even passion just start coming back almost on their own. Not for everyone and not in all cases, but for the most part. Bottom line is, you want to start seeing a more significant impact in your relationship and all those complaints bothering you right now? Start focusing on making sure your partner's needs are met, as well as your own, and watch the magic happen. It is possible that when you start having these initial talks about what you each need in the relationship and how to make that happen, you know exactly what you need and you just ask for it right away. But it's also very likely that one or both of you might not know right away how to answer that question. Routinely checking in with ourselves to ask, what do I need? Is not something that comes naturally. But like any other skill, it's something that gets easier with practice. So it's okay to think on it and regroup when you have a better idea of what you need. Just keep at it. I do want to warn you of one thing though. When I'm working with a couple and they start catching on to this shift of getting together every so often, maybe once a month, every few weeks, whatever is best for them, there can be this tendency to open the floodgates and just pour out all of the stuff that's been bottled up or repressed for ages and being like, finally, okay, I need this and this and this and this. Oh, and also this. And we just want to address all of our complaints in one go. I get it. It's like getting by on bare minimum food than being presented with a feast when you're starving. Who wouldn't? But as I've said before, and I'll say it again, there is such a thing as changing too much too soon. We get overwhelmed, spread ourselves thin, and eventually give up or stop making progress altogether. To prevent this common mistake, don't get too ambitious. Make a list together, write everything down if it helps so that you feel like it's on the board and we will address it in time. But choose one thing to focus on. Be specific about the request and give it time to go from effort to new normal habit before you tack on the next item on the list. If you keep having these recurring meetings and stay consistent in your efforts to apply the solution you've both come up with, you will get through the full list, I promise. Over time, you will even find that the list changes and things that were once important really aren't that big of a deal anymore. But some new things have come up that are more important to us. So we'll keep evolving in our approach to meeting those needs. But you know what that means long term? That you two will effectively be life-proofing your relationship so that as we change in this life, because no one stays the exact same person with the exact same preferences and needs their whole life, the relationship is also changing and evolving along with us. And throughout it all, we remain satisfied with each other because our needs are still constantly being met. So that's our game plan, okay? New priority, making sure both of our needs are being met. And if we need to brush up on some better communication skills in order to make that happen, then so be it. But we do not stop at communicating better, because we know that the real goal is getting ourselves to the point where we're satisfied in our relationship because our needs are being met consistently. I go live every second Tuesday of the month, bare minimum, but also on other days when I can. So feel free to drop any questions you might have in the submission form I've got linked at the bottom of every episode's description. And subscribe to my channel so you get notified of the next time I go live to answer them. I'm excited to see where you grow from here. We'll talk again soon.